Okay, we are from group 1, so now we are talking about approach to meaning. So there are 8 approach in meaning. So now we are talking one by one.
I explain about ideational approach. Ideational meaning is the meaning that arises as a result of using a concept word. Words that can be searched for the concept or idea contained in the word unit, both root and derivative words. Okay? In this approach, meaning is defined as a description of ideas and a form of language that is arbitrary but has convention so that it can be mutually understood. Thus, this approach links meaning with activities to compile and convey ideas through language. How to convey meaning through linguistic structures without neglecting the harmony of its relationship with reality.
Material about ideational approach. Social fates seen or appeared or acted or performed during communication. For example, my mother told me no open the door, and I did what I heard from my mother. For example, what I heard was an order on an allegory which said that you should not open the door. And I heard what I had been semantically ordered not to open the door. So I didn't open the door.
Okay, next point about behavioral approach.
Behavioral approach is an approach that emphasizes the existence of language as a medium in processing messages and information. The study of meaning that starts from the behavioral approach examines the meaning in speech events that take place in certain situations.
In this change, I will give some example of behavioral approach. First, the sentence in the line is happened in a badminton game. Second, the word successful for those who win the lottery. Third, present, the word present for those who are absent by the lecture. And the last is the word thanks, thank you for buyers and sellers who made a transaction, and so on.
Okay, next point about referential approach.
I will tell you about a referential approach deals with the reality representation that accompanies the process of thinking. For example, the President of the United States, if you were to say this at the time of this writing, 2019, the term would refer to Donald Trump. That the term President of the United States will refer to Barack Obama if that phrase was uttered 2020.
And now I would like to present the deals with reality representation that accompanies the process of thinking. So as we all know about the reality is the state of goodness and vice, even beyond. Reality cannot be reduced from one side of reality, whether it is a positive or negative side. A person who only speaks of reality as a always positive discourse is a hypocrite. Reality never lies to humans. He's always honest. Reality is a room full of problems, ranging from simple to the most complex. We cannot simply see reality as a beautiful and pleasant thing, like this one with only a dream. A dream that affirms reality around with the positive in our thinking as the subject.
Next point about weakness of referential approach.
I want to talk about weakness of referential approach. Example of the weakness of referential approach is here in the island of Java. Thousands of people have tried their luck to improve their life. The word here is non-referential meaning word. The word refers specifically to Java Island, but the meaning will be different if it is in a different sentence.
Next point about contextual approach.
We'll explain about contextual approach. A contextual approach is one of the approaches that the learning process is connected to in real life and gives a direct sample of the material being touched. On the other hand, the contextual approach will help teachers in the learning process as delivered. Approach is a concept which helps teachers to learn and to associate the content studied with the real-world situation of students and encourage students to make connections between the knowledge possessed by its application in their life as members of families and communities.
Now, I will give example of contextual approach. Example, the teacher provides the concept of understanding profit, selling price, and buying price. Here, students are asking or meaning about the selling price and purchase price. The teacher conducts the class by means of modeling and role play, namely making the classroom as if the market, and students are asked to financial transaction. Students looking for information about price and students are asked to record any existing expense and income.
Okay, next point about conceptual approach.
I want to explain the conceptual approach part definition. Conceptual semantic is a framework for semantic analysis developed primarily by Ray Jakendev in 1976. Its purpose is to characterize the conceptual elements that a person uses to understand words and sentences. Conceptual semantics are compositional, meaning that the meaning of phrases, clauses, and sentence can be determined from the lexical concept that compose them.
Now I'll give an example from conceptual approach like that. Imagine a man told a woman, "I care for you a lot." Would the man the woman heard man? Sure, if he just said that out of the blue. Walking down the beach one day, but what if the woman told the man, "I love you," and after a long pause, all he said was, "I care for you a lot," said the cursed. So, context the current situation.
Next point about important things in communication.
Important things in communication. Mutual understanding has to take place. Faulty use of language can cause misunderstanding. The received information can be wrong because of wrong use or wrong choice of words.
Okay, next about logical approach.
Okay, the last point we talk about logical approach. If you talk about logical approach, you talk about the third, because logical approach deals with the third inference and the content of expression. We talk about logical, we talk about logic, the study of correct reasoning. For example, all spiders have 8 legs. Black widow are types of spider. In conclusion, means that black widow have 8 legs.
Next point about structural approach.
Okay, next point I would like to explain about structural approach. If we talk about structural, we'll talk about the form and the meaning. So structural refers to two things. The first one is sound and meaning. Sound and meaning used to express the language in both written and spoken form. For example, Gita is there, is Gita there Gita is, and there is Gita. By the example, we see that the example have the same vocabulary but have a different meaning that we call it structure. Because these examples show the meaningful words that are used to convey the meaning.
Next point about culture approach.
To explain about cultural approach. Cultural approach is an approach that may use the content of semantic representation but doesn't determine the content. This is because culture is intentional and it becomes evident when we examine the concept, structure, and the relation between. For example, when a child says to her father, "Dad, I cannot use my bicycle no more. Can you check what's wrong with that?" So the word "you" here represent the semantics of daddy or dad. The child doesn't say, "Can Dad check what's wrong with my bicycle?" But she says, "Can you check what's wrong with my bicycle?" Because the word "you" here represent the semantics of daddy or dad.